YouTube, Ninja Midget here with a cool gun. I just recently acquired this. This is a Mossberg & Sons Model 151K. I did a little research on this, and I believe this is the first semi-auto 22 LR rifle that they made. So it was produced in 1950 and 1951, so a fairly short run before they went to the 152K, which had a box magazine down here rather than the tube-fed magazine on this gun. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to go ahead and take our tube out, set that aside. And then the first thing that you want to come off is, let me refocus my camera here. I don't use the autofocus on my camera because it's just too finicky. There we go. These two screws are going to come out on the handguard, and these screws just go directly into the stock. They're not any part of the trigger group or anything for the trigger guard. These just come straight out like this. The trigger guard is just there to protect the trigger and for just decoration. So that's your trigger guard. Now, you want to note that spring down in there. Get a little pointer here. This spring right here is part of your return spring on your trigger. So that's what that is. Now, like most 22 rifles, to take this thing down, you're just going to unscrew this. This is going to remove your action in your barrel from the stock. Just comes straight out like that. And your screw can just stay in there unless you're planning on refinishing the stock or something. So move that out of the way. Finish taking down our stock here, and what you're going to want to do first is, this is a retaining spring that holds the feeding tube in place when it's in the gun. Oops, try not to bump the camera. Okay, so that screw is going to just come straight out like that. Takes the spring with it. Set that aside. Now what you're going to be able to do is you're going to pull your feeding tube straight out like this. You see that spring pop out of place as this comes out. And there's that spring. Okay, so what you want to do now is just use a punch, and you're going to push out your trigger pin like this. It's going to release the whole thing. Pull that out. Your spring and your trigger can just come straight out through the top. Just like that. And with the exception of the butt plate, which I don't think anybody needs any direction on removing, that's your stock completely disassembled. Now, to disassemble the bolt, you're going to unscrew the breech plug back here. That just comes straight off the back. It's kind of a long threaded piece. And then what that's going to allow you to do is, when the breech plug is in, you can't go all the way back to this hole. This is the hole back here where you take out your charging handle. It's just going to slide out like that once the bolt can go all the way back. Set that aside. Then you can just pull the bolt straight back and out, and there's your bolt assembly. Now, what you want to do is you're going to punch out this pin right here. Let me refocus this a little bit here. There we go. This pin right here, you're going to want to just punch that straight out. And this is where having one of these bench blocks really comes in handy. So you're just going to get your hammer, tap that straight out. That comes out. There you go. Now this is going to be under spring tension, so you want to grab it like this and hold that as you pull your punch out so that it's not flying out on you. And there comes your, this is the retracting spring. This is what pushes your bolt forward. This is your hammer. This is your hammer spring. This is your retracting pin. And there's the hole that was keeping it captive there. So that's your entire bolt disassembled. Now I have taken this gun apart before, and one of the things that that just wasn't going for me is this pin right here. I was bending punches and trying to get this out, and it just would not come out. And I think get this to focus in here. I think the extractor is in good shape. It seems like it's functioning properly, so I didn't end up taking that out, but that is where you're going to punch that out. If you do need to remove that, it looks like, you see how there's a little circle right here in this slot. I'm guessing that's where the little spring is that's giving that spring tension. So if you do take this out, you might want to put a finger over that to keep that from jumping out on you, because it looks like that's probably the way it functions. Okay, now firing pin. Here's your firing pin, and that's held captive by those two little areas that have been peened over by a machine. So what you do to get this out, it's real simple. You just push it back a little bit like this, and what you're going to do is you're going to push down on your firing pin. That is going to allow you to just slide it straight out the back. There's your firing pin, and with the exception of the extractor, that is your bolt completely disassembled. Now, for the next thing we want to do, we're going to go ahead and take out the ejector. This is the ejector right here. And I do have a video for how that functions that'll be at the end of this. That's the ejector. This is part of the ejector. And what you're going to want to do, let me refocus here. There it is. You're going to want to take a small flathead screwdriver, go ahead and get it under there so that little lip down here is off of this slot here, because it's retained in that slot by this little lip that engages there. So what you're going to want to do, let me see if I can do this without getting in the way here, is you're just going to want to tap it back a little bit until it's not on there anymore. Then you can go ahead and take your screwdriver out and continue tapping it toward the front of the gun. Just gently tapping, and it jumps out on you, so be wary of that. But there is your ejector. Okay, now the next thing you want to do is you're going to take out your, first of all, you want to take off this screw right here. And this screw is what it's called the breech plug spring that is holding in there. That little breech plug spring. It's just a little piece of spring steel, and I guess it puts tension on the breech plug so that it doesn't work its way loose as the gun is being used. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll punch out. There's my little punch. There's my little punch. Go ahead and punch out this pin. Or does it go out this way? Yeah. There we go. Okay, so that comes out. And then your disconnector just lifts straight out, just like this. Set that aside. Then you've got another screw down here, and that's holding on. This is your sear spring, and this side is your disconnector spring. So you're going to just screw this out, that is going to take out your sear and disconnector spring, and then this is your disconnector base. So that just comes out, and you want to note that this goes in with this side forward, the short side forward. There's a short side and a long side. Okay, now the sear spring or sear pin just comes out straight like that, and then there's your sear. And that is the Mossberg Model 151K completely disassembled. Pretty simple gun to disassemble. Oh wait, I am forgetting something. One of the things you want to do is you want to take apart, this is your cartridge stop. This right here, let me see here, focus it a little bit. This is your cartridge stop spring. So the easiest thing to do, grab yourself a punch, put it through there, and pull out the spring that's held in by those little pins. Then your cartridge stop just slides straight up and out. And that's it. And that's everything you can disassemble on the gun, with the exception, of course, of the extractor. And you can take apart the inside part of the magazine tube. I did that once. It's just not even necessary to go over it. All it is a spring and a pin holding it in. So that is it, the complete disassembly of the Mossberg Model 151K. Thanks for watching.